Parent groups are becoming increasingly concerned about the main company offering religious instruction in Victorian primary schools. ACCESS Ministries says it's an interdenominational body which provides Christian education and chaplaincy in state schools in partnership with Christian churches. But how it does that has been under investigation. The Education Department commissioned PricewaterhouseCoopers to review ACCESS Ministries after a series of incidents involving its volunteers. As Karen Percy explains, a report has just been completed and sent to the Education Minister, Martin Dixon.
And how was school today? What did you do?
Former Uniting Church Minister Claire Tanner didn't intend for her children to attend religious instruction at the local state school, but she's had no choice with her youngest daughter.
The dilemma is that they're feeling anxious and upset about having to be separated from their friends, and they don't know why, other than this is a subject that they've been told they need to do. They don't like being separated from the classroom teacher either, which sometimes is occurring. All the teachers there?
Ms Tanner has taught religion herself in state schools, but she has major reservations about what's happening now.
I am concerned about the teachers from ACCESS Ministries, that they do, I think, increasingly come from fundamentalist, narrow, conservative Christian backgrounds.
ACCESS Ministries is the main provider of religious instruction in Victoria, sending hundreds of volunteers into more than 600 state-run primary schools every week. It received more than $5 million in federal funding and about $735,000 from the Victorian government in 2012.
ACCESS tells parents that they're getting values education, a general introduction to Christian culture, and some information about what Christians believe. What they're actually getting is one very narrow segment of what some Christians believe.
They have to find these secret words within this puzzle. The message is God always keeps his promises. Now, kids will take that literally, and we're kind of wondering, what does that mean to have a promise from God?
Not only is this anti-educational because it's very shallow and unintellectual, but it's also very literalist and a fundamentalist view.
Parents groups and educators are increasingly concerned about the content children are being taught.
Our schools are not churches. This should not be about a group that is allowed to go into our schools, to our children, with a missionary motivation in the back of their heads that we are hopefully going to save some of these children and bring them to Jesus.
For me, the real concern is that this material and the types of things that are being talked about in those classes do not respect diversity or difference, and in actual fact are very contrary to those ideas.
They worry about what they view as subliminal messages, the emphasis on devotional rather than cultural teachings, and that children are being segregated based on the faith of their parents or lack of it.
Okay, Christian classes here and Hindu classes here and Buddhist classes there, and that does not help children assimilate.
Parents can opt not to send their children to the program, but critics say the process is confusing.
The GC 566 form, which is the informed consent form for parents to opt into SRI currently, is false and misleading.
And it uses words, it says it's agreed. Well, who's agreed to it? I didn't agree to it. And Minister Dixon has now said that the department didn't agree to it. And that makes me really cross.
It also states that the ACCESS Ministry program is supported by the department, and it's consistent with the Victorian Essential Learning Standards. Both those claims are false.
Joe Kelly, the principal at Cranbourne South Primary School, ended the ACCESS Ministries program at his school more than a year ago. An innocent enough sounding discussion with students about the intricacies of space and space travel, and one 8-year-old girl in particular, was a defining moment.
And she said, "Johnny, it's all in the Bible." I was really stunned and surprised and disappointed by that. I thought it was delivered in a very confident kind of finality manner.
He started attending the classes and took a close look at the ACCESS Ministries curriculum.
And here's one example of children being encouraged to proselytise other children. This particular cutout here is very much like a birthday invitation card. Dear Johnny, you are special to God and me. This is highly objectionable.
Naja Vorhov's 8-year-old son came home from Torquay College late last year with material endorsing Christian heterosexual relationships above all others. The Minister Martin Dixon, seen here at the opening of ACCESS Ministries' new training centre earlier this year, has responded to Ms Vorhov's complaint.
It didn't speak to any of my specific questions, which were who handed out the Bible zines at Torquay College.
The Bible scene incident is one of a number of matters involving ACCESS Ministries volunteers that are currently under investigation. 7:30 Victoria requested an on-camera interview with ACCESS Ministries, but it declined. It did provide a written response from Acting CEO Dawn Penny, which says in part,
"The material does what it's designed to do and in fact what the legislation requires. It teaches the distinctive tenets of the Christian faith. We have never asked the Education Department to approve the theological content as it's outside their scope. However, it was developed with the Victorian Essential Learning Standards in mind."
Regarding the consent form, the company says,
"The term agreed refers to the fact the curriculum has been approved by and agreed to by our board, which is appointed by the council, which has representatives from the 12 member denominations."
The Education Minister Martin Dixon also declined to be interviewed.
Praise him, all little children, God is love.
For decades, religion was part and parcel of the school experience. But 40 years ago, there was a national rethink of religious instruction.
What those inquiries back in the 1970s recommended was that religion deserves to be taught as an academic subject with the same seriousness that we teach our children maths, geography, history, or any other subject that's important to their growth and development.
Well, the ACCESS Ministry material...
Joe Kelly wants a more appropriate academic program to be put in place.
Our public schools in Victoria are subjected to a very stringent accountability framework. We must report on virtually every aspect of school management. The interesting thing is SRI falls outside that accountability framework. We are not asked to report on any aspect of it except to give the department the numbers of children that attend those sessions and what religions that are being provided.